Association of Youth and Students for Peace, Pilipinas. A global family of young people building a world of peace with true love.
If this is your first time visiting on our channel, make sure to hit subscribe and please turn on the notification bell to be notified for the upcoming videos.
Good day and mabuhay. I welcome you all to the Regional Youth Forum. And today we will talk about our session 3 with the topic of materialistic view of man. So let's get started. When we talk about the materialistic view of man, we actually talk about what communism's concept of what a man is. So when we look at communism, we can look at their 4 fundamentals or their 4 main concepts. First is absolute materialism. Second is the law of dialectics. Third is historical materialism. And fourth is man as a product of his environment. So, when we say absolute materialism, it's actually disproving God or saying that God isn't real. Well, as Filipinos, majority of us actually believe in a God. So this doesn't really apply to us. And talking about absolute materialism may open up debates between atheists and God. But this isn't our topic today. Our topic is a critique and counter-proposal to what communism stands for. So when we look at the second fundamentals of communism, it is the law of dialectics. Our previous speaker has talked about this. Also, historical materialism. So now we will mainly focus on the fourth point, which is man as a product of his environment. Man as a product of his environment, we will focus on 3 main points. What this is the points that communists would like to make. Economic alienation is the cause of evil. Changing economic system brings regeneration to a man. Elimination of private property brings ideal society or a utopia. So what do communists mean when they say economic alienation is the cause of evil? Well, they simply mean when you are impoverished, when you are poor, napipilitan kang gumawa ng masama. Napipilitan kang pumatay o magnakaw o gumawa ng krimen dahil ikaw ay wala nang magawa. At sinasabi nila na kasalanan ito ng sistema. Totoo nga ba yun? Isipin muna natin ng saglit. I will not deny na meron tayong cases na ganito. Pero kung totoo ang sinasabi ng mga komunista na ang economic o ang kahirapan ang dahilan kung bakit sumasama ang tao, edi pwede nating sabihin na lahat ng mahirap ay masama. Pwede rin nating sabihin na lahat ng mayaman ay mabubuti, which is not the case. Diba? We can look at this theory as nonsense because, well, majority of the evil people, well, not really, are the richest because of corruption, because of stealing the money, because of crime. So we can see this economic alienation is not really the cause of evil. How about changing economic system brings regeneration of man? Does it mean that if we change our economic status, our economic system, does it mean we will change? From bad, we will become good? Well, let me ask you this, our dear participants. If we give 1 million peso to every Filipino in the Philippines, will evil disappear? Will crime disappear? Will drugs disappear? Well, not really. You don't need to test it. We all know what will happen. The evil will do more evil. The money will amplify the evilness that they will do. Good people will do more good things. Money is not the case. The economic environment is not the subject here. So we can see that money just acts as the amplification of the evil and goodness within a person. What about elimination of private property brings ideal society or utopia? Marx said if we eliminate private property, if we eliminate the ownership of land or anything, there will not be any more selfishness, which is completely stupid because we can see that the evilness or the selfishness or the goodness of a person doesn't really stems from their materialistic owning or from them materialistic ownership. It stems from their heart, it stems from their spirit, it stems from their attitude. So when we look at this communist concept, they say when we change the external system, there will be change in internal character of a man. So when we look at this, it's actually like this. They propose that first, if we change the effect, then cause will be changed also. We all know that man created these social systems. So they are proposing that we change the effect, then cause will change, which is completely contradicting the scientific principle. Cause will change or cause will happen first before the effect. Change in the cause will affect the result. Isn't that true? When we look at communist view of man, they see man as an advanced animal. They see man as equal to an ape. What's the difference? Well, they say the difference is an ape is a little more dumb and man is a little more smart. Payag ba kayo dun? Is it okay for you that you are just as the same level of an animal but a little bit smarter? They look at man as a matter in motion. We are merely matter walking and moving about doing labor. And our Creator or God and the eternal life are merely just illusions. From this setup, from these points, we can see what communists really believe. The communist view of man has no base for human rights because we are the same as animals. If we are the same as animals, why can't we eat each other? Why can't we kill each other? Why can't we enslave another? Why can't we keep each other as pets? So this has no base, or the communist view of man has no base for human rights. Another one is it has no base for freedom. Since we are like animals, we can be imprisoned like animals. Another thing, since we are made up of system, or we are affected mostly by the system, we have no freedom. We have no free will. We are only the subject of the environment. We are only the product of this environment. So we really have no freedom and no base for creativity. We have no choice but to create what the system allows us to create. And there is no room for love. From these points, we can see that communism actually dehumanizes human beings. It sets us at the bar of being animals. It makes us into robots. Actually, it is worse than slavery. It is worse than slavery. So we can say that communism is the funeral march of humanity. Communism is a big problem. But we, here in YSP, what is our counterproposal? What is our answer to communism? Jude, if mali yung communism, ano yung pwede naming pakinggan? Kasi may mali rin naman actually yung ibang side, pero mali rin yung communism. So ano sinasabi mo? Ano dapat gawin natin? Ano ba talaga ang solusyon? Well, I will present you our counterproposal. Our counterproposal is Godism. In Godism, man is not just an animal. Man is not just a matter in motion. Then what is man? Man is a divine being. Isn't that a lot better? Isn't that a lot more better than what communism says, that we are just matter, that we are just animals, working animals? man is a divine being. Another concept of Godism is man is a spirit that has a body, not a body with a spirit. This seems a very simple concept, but actually it is quite powerful. We are first our spirit, our personality, our mind. Me being Jude is the first. Then me being human is the second, and me having this body is the third. So, man is a spirit that has a body, not a body with a spirit. We can look at Godism's concept as man being created for a definite purpose. And being created with a definite purpose, man is not happy, or we can just replace man to us. We are not happy unless we are functioning as he or we are made to function. What do I mean? Let's look at this example. When we look at the violin, when we look at any instrument, it was made to create music. When the violin is used for this purpose, it can create a variety of beautiful songs, extremely beautiful sounds. But it is only when it is used for that purpose that its creativity, its value become richer, become bigger, and it expands more. But if we use this violin to hurt others, for example, hitting someone with a violin, well, would it fulfill the purpose of the violin? Well, no, not only that, but the value of the violin would actually be worse. The same with us humans. We must know our purpose first. Because if we don't know what our purpose, we can never go to our full potential. We can never be happy. We can never be a person that is infinite value. So when we look at man, when we look at us, we have a physical self and we have a spiritual self. Both are important. So within us, we have that both. For our physical self, we have air, sunlight, and food to maintain our physical self. What about our spiritual self? To maintain our spiritual self, we have these life elements that is from God. Now, what is the relationship of our physical self to our spiritual self? The physical self gives vitality elements to our spiritual self. And the spiritual self gives spiritual elements to our physical self. So this is the relationship of our physical self and spiritual self. This is the relationship of our body and spirit. So what is this? Nangyayari ba talaga yan? Totoo ba talaga yan? Ano nga ba yung spiritual elements? Ano nga ba yung vitality elements? Well, let's look at it this way. Every single one of us had an experience of sacrificing. Every single one of us has an experience of doing good. So, I'm sure that every one of us had an experience of gaining vitality elements and having spiritual elements. Kung sabihin mo, kailan naman yun? Parang hindi ko naman naramdaman. Well, just an example. When you go outside, kahit wala kang pera, pero pag may lumapit sa yung less fortunate beggar, sabihin niya, pwede po bang pahingi po ako ng pera? Pwede po akong pangkain? 3 days na po ako hindi kumakain. Kahit wala kang pera, kahit yung pera mo dapat sa'yo lang, if you choose to help the beggar, then automatically your spirit, your vitality elements will come to your spirit. This is when you feel, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. And afterwards, when that beggar, when the person that is in need of help is really enjoying that food that you have given him, then you feel this sense of happiness. You feel this sense of joy. Maybe some of us have not had that experience. But let's look at it this way again, in the family. Have you experienced with a sibling really sacrificing and giving something to your sibling that was meant for you? Natandaan ko noong bata ko. Our parents actually had enough money only for one toy at Christmas. I was very happy. It was my favorite toy. It was a toy truck. But then, my little brother, who was younger than me, didn't receive anything. And I gave him that toy. And after I gave him, I saw his big smile. I saw his thank you, kuya. And that in itself, kahit wala akong laruan, kahit wala akong Christmas gift, I was very happy. I was very, very, very happy. And this is also the same feeling that parents have when they sacrifice for their children. Kapag gumawa ka ng mabuti, this is the vitality elements that is feeding your spiritual self. Nagiging mas mabuti kang tao. And afterwards, with your spiritual self naging mas clear, naging mas mabuti, it will give spiritual elements. This feeling of eternal happiness. Kung tatanungin mo ako kung kaya ko bumalik, gagawin ko yung pagbigay ng laruan sa aking kapatid. I will give the toy to my brother 100% of the time, even though I cannot receive anything back. Because that happiness is irreplaceable. This is the eternal happiness that we can receive from the Spirit. And this is the spiritual elements. And scientifically, when we look at the studies, actually helping, living for the sake of others, sacrificing, actually contributes to a better mental health. There's a lot of studies about this. Doing things for others, sacrificing yourself for others, has a positive impact on your body, not only on your spirit. And this is the relationship of our physical self and our spiritual self. And if you don't believe me, well, just looking at these pictures, what do you feel? People helping out other people. Does it make you emotional? Does it make you happy? Does it make you want to do more? That in itself is the proof that you in yourself has a spirit. You in yourself has a body. When we live for the sake of others, we will experience inner joy and happiness that cannot be compared to anything. And this is the problem. It is only when we live for the sake of others that we can experience these things. Our younger generation actually craves this eternal happiness, this inner joy and happiness. But they don't know how to get it. They don't know that living for the sake of others is the way for happiness. That's why some troubled teens will turn into alcohol. Some troubled teens will turn into drugs. But once we understand that living for the sake of others is the key, we will experience happiness that cannot be compared to smoking, drinking, especially cannot be compared to drugs. Let me repeat. When we live for the sake of others, we will experience inner joy and happiness that is infinitely incomparable to anything that we have experienced or will experience. We don't need to take drugs. We don't need to take alcohol. What we need is live for the sake of others. But what communism gives, or what communism tells us, that we don't really have this physical self. We don't really have this spiritual self. Wala tayong spirito, hindi yun totoo. So that means this spiritual elements and vitality elements actually is not real according to communists. And this is a very dangerous teaching, because if we don't understand this, we will not live for the sake of others. We will not help out others. We will not sacrifice. We will not help our siblings. We will not help our children. But furthermore, it kills our spirit. It kills our spiritual self. This is why many of the people, especially young people, are actually committing suicide. It is the death of their spiritual self. This is very serious. It is a national catastrophe in Japan and in Korea. And it has nothing to do with economic placements. Mahirap ka man, mayaman ka man, pwede ito mangyari. So it's a very dangerous idea kung ano man ito sinasabi ng communism, na wala tayong spirit. Because it is the death of the spiritual self. It is the death, let me repeat, of the spiritual self. Communism kills the spirit of man. So that's why it is very dangerous. Communism itself destroys family and religion. It aims to destroy families and religion. Just in the USSR, they outlawed religion. And it promotes hatred. This is very serious. When two of these things become a state law, it's very dangerous, because it will in turn cause spiritual death. So why are we very serious about this spiritual death? Well, it's because spiritual death is a real death, is the real death. The physical death is just a natural process of transformation, much like a larva turning into a butterfly. But this spiritual death is the real death. Remember, we are a spirit with a body. In the Bible, Matthew 10:28 talks about this. He said, "And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul." Do not fear. Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Spiritual death is real death. Once we die spiritually, it is forever. But communism not only promotes this spiritual death, but it also promotes this physical death. According to Lee Figaro, a French magazine, communism has brought about 150 million physical deaths, but billion more in spiritual death. It's currently rising more and more and more, since the world still has communist nations like North Korea. This is very alarming. The spiritual death of millions is at stake. So in the name of God and in the name of humanity, communism must be stopped. Sa ngalan ng Panginoon, sa ngalan ng pagkatao, kailangan na natin sugpuin ang komunismo. Samahan niyo po ako. At maraming salamat. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. You can also turn on the notification bell to be notified for the upcoming videos. Join us for more adventures.